pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Bunton.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Dempsey.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Menser.
Here. Okay. Announcements, acknowledgements, and communications. Do we have any this evening?
I have one meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
The Traffic Safety Committee will be meeting on Tuesday, September 15th at 6:30 p.m. here at City Hall.
Anyone else? Adoption of the agenda. Need a motion?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
You know, I'm just looking at the agenda and I'm really wondering, we had quite a lengthy discussion last time about the filling of the empty commission seat, and I thought that that was going to be on the agenda this week.
Oh, you mean that seat?
Yes. We had a very long and lengthy discussion before we went into executive.
Report
Next time, right?
right?
Yes.
Well, we have to
Manager's
vote on that,
report.
don't we?
No.
No,
No,
Okay.
there's no vote on it.
it's just an informational.
Just an
one.
informational what's going to happen apparently.
Okay, so you just didn't include it this time, it'll be next time.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay, roll call.
Bunton.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Okay. Public participation. This is the time you may address this body. All we ask is that you give us your name, residential address, and that you adhere to our 3-minute rule. So whoever would like the mic, please come forward.
Dolores Kasiniak, 250 Euclid. Last time I reported about the mailman falling on the step on Mosier. Well, they told me that someone there put a board across the step. I don't know if that's a permanent fix or what. And I asked him, I said, what is the worst areas where the steps are? He says, Washington Street. He's almost every house is there, and I don't know how they're getting away with this. In fact, I told our mailman that he works with about me helping them with these steps. And he says, I think we're going to go on strike. He said, we can't keep going up these broken steps because what's going to happen to us, which I think he just said that in the passing speech. But really, I've seen some of those steps are terrible to go up. And these are our mailmen, they deliver our mail through rain, snow, and everything, and they shouldn't have to put up with these broken steps. So since the city might do something about the sidewalks, I think the steps are just as important. And most of those homes that they were complaining about are rentals. So the landlords aren't doing anything. And if they fall and get hurt and the landlord loses that house, they're going to go after the city. You're going to have all these votes, but the mailmen are really upset about this, and I don't blame them. But thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving right along. What?
Sorry. Gloria Haller, 260 Cass. Couple things. Listening to the last couple meetings, especially since last August when we had the tax vote, kind of concerns me that there are some members of the commission that seem to have themselves confused with union stewards. I keep hearing, oh, the employees are so underpaid and so overworked. Really? No, they're not. You remember, I know, a couple years back when I did that study. No, they're not underpaid. They're overpaid, overcompensated. And I agree, some of our employees do have a big workload. One of them sitting right back there in the corner. Well, tell you what, you're still commissioners, though. You're not union stewards, so I don't really want to keep hearing about how we don't pay our employees enough. Don't forget, too, the employees aren't residents. We pay them well, and they go live somewhere else to live. They don't vote. In fact, we pay them to stay home. If you have the contracts, and I do, they get an awful lot of paid time off. So I don't really want to hear about overwork. Maybe if we paid them to stay home less and they stayed here and worked, they wouldn't be so overworked. But I know there are some people who are deserving. Like I said, Jeff Wood is deserving. Brian probably is. There's a way to pay him. We should have had a city income tax. That needs to be addressed. You people need to get that moving. We are not satisfied, the majority of us are not satisfied with this tax situation with the property tax. And probably I never heard a greater outcry from my friends regarding the property tax situation in a couple meetings back when one of the commissioners said, thank you for voting for it. You know what that was tantamount to? Getting raped and the guy stands up and as he's zipping up, he says, thank you. I don't think so. We got raped financially. And I'm not gonna hear a thank you and think that's nice. You're not welcome. Get off my roof. Every one of you. No. And I've heard you say, oh, I don't like paying property taxes either, but I bet every one of you would rather pay a property tax than an income tax because you're all multiple income households. And you and I both know, there may be one that isn't, but you and I both know that it would be far more out of all of your pockets if we had a city income tax than it is with this property tax. And you are completely forgetting about the people who you're going to cause within a year or so to be homeless. It was thoughtless, it was stupid, and don't ever say thank you again. Ever. You're not welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, administrative responses to issues that were raised at a previous meeting. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, as Ms. Kusiniak just mentioned again, there was talk at a prior meeting about walkways and steps and issues with safety relating to the condition of some of those throughout the city. The information I provided just basically indicates that this kind of enforcement activity is initiated by either a observation of this issue by city staff or by another party reporting it to city enforcement staff, whether that be another employee, whether that be a resident, whatever the case may be. So those are investigated as with other enforcement matters on a case-by-case basis as it comes to the attention of city enforcement staff, either through their own observations or with somebody making a referral, if you will. The second item, sidewalk information update. As you know, a sidewalk plan was passed and ultimately funded in our fiscal year 2015-16 budget, not passed, but included in our fiscal year 2015-16 budget. Code enforcement staff have gone out and marked sidewalk squares throughout the city that need to be addressed in this initial phase of this new initiative on sidewalks. Notices have been mailed to property owners that have had squares marked for replacement, and these property owners will have 30 days to effectuate the repairs either on their own, doing the work themselves, or hiring their own contractor. Otherwise, city enforcement staff, the city contractor will come out and do the work after that 30-day period and cause those sidewalk squares to be corrected and addressed. That work would be billed out at a very competitive rate of $165 per square. I think that most people that will go out and check that out against what they can get on an individual project-by-project basis because of the mobilization costs and things of that nature. I think that the city cost is going to be pretty competitive for most people, and that might be something they want to take advantage of as opposed to trying to do a separate deal with a contractor. This work will be completed in 2 phases, with phase 1 scheduled for this summer and fall, and the second phase scheduled for next spring. There's a variety of reasons for that. Trying to get some lessons learned by the first phase of the project so that we can refine our approach for the second time around, to allow some time for recovering of expenses if people don't pay the expenses when they're billed, and things of that nature. So there's a few reasons why we're splitting it into 2 pieces. Number 3, there was an inquiry regarding advertising on city-owned dial-a-ride buses by Commissioner Menser. And the SMART policy is that any advertising that generates revenue is forbidden on community transit buses that are provided through SMART funding in any way, shape, or form. And all of the buses that we utilize in our dial-a-ride program are provided to us through SMART. So they are all SMART funded to some extent from 5310 funds or other funding sources that SMART takes advantage of. Because of that, we're not allowed to have revenue-generating advertising on our buses. SMART's policy does allow for posting of informational flyers on city events if the city were interested in that. There's several caveats that go with that as well, that you cannot generate revenue, as with the first case. Posters are only supposed to be placed in certain spots of the bus out of the view of the driver, so it doesn't cause a distraction for the driver. There's a limitation on the size to 11 by 17 inches, and they must be removed promptly after programs are completed. And then lastly, those posters must be compliant with SMART's content policy. There's a variety of things that are restricted or excluded. Political campaign advertising, content promoting alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, content that is false, misleading, or deceptive, defamatory content, and obscene content. And then the last item on administrative responses for this week, there was an inquiry on our policy regarding multi-unit rental properties in the city of Mount Clemens. New two-family dwellings are only permitted in the single-family zoning districts that are present in the city, and then only with a special land use permit. Existing multifamily dwellings are considered legal non-conforming uses wherever they are currently located and in operation. And that's all that I had this week.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So for instance, the Oktoberfest would not be something that could be, a poster could not be on the dollar rides because there's alcohol involved in that. Am I correct?
If it doesn't specifically mention it, I'd say that that's probably
I
going to
think
be, it's sort of part and parcel of that event. But if it's not specifically mentioned, we might be all right on that front. I could check for clarification.
Okay.
I think what you're, from the guidelines that they gave you, I think it'd be permissible.
I do too.
Because
Oh.
it talks about content promoting alcohol, tobacco,
Oh,
marijuana.
okay, and you're really
But
not
you're not
promoting that.
It's the event.
Okay,
alcohol, the
Okay.
event.
I think you'd be fine.
okay. Commissioner Mensah?
I had a couple of things. City Manager Brown, I was looking at the sidewalk information update, and I was wondering how we are choosing the districts that we're marking, because I was on Claire, and there was 2 blocks where flags were marked, and then the next block wasn't marked.
Right. We didn't, we chose not to, and we discussed it at the time we went through the process of discussing this potential use of funding. We had stated we were going to target a specific zone. We were going to try to do, spread it around the city in a pretty, there's no arguing otherwise. It's not exactly, there's not really anything other than the most egregious, worst examples of sidewalks are being chosen in various spots in the community to spread out the benefit and the impact throughout the city. So we're not targeting a specific area. Some sidewalk programs, which I wouldn't call this a sidewalk program, I'd call it more of just a stepped-up enforcement of our existing ordinance. But if we get into a formal program, quote-unquote program, we could look at setting up zones and starting in Zone 1 and then moving on to Zone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This was spread throughout the city.
Okay, I was just, because if 2 blocks are and 1 block wasn't, I
Understood.
thought that did make sense. But, and the other thing is I think that this is a reasonable price. The last time we, had talked about this, we were talking about somewhere near $200 a square or a flag or, whatever. And so I'm wondering, there are some residents who might want to just go ahead and have the sidewalk done
Correct.
if they knew that they could get this price. So how do we tell residents that if they have a flag that they want, or square that they want to take care of themselves, by using this price, by using the city's contractor, there's a square out in front of my house because of the tree roots. I'd pay for that to be fixed. I think other residents might do similar. So how do we tell them that this is available?
The city's been contacted by residents with those kind of interests where they would like to get work like that accomplished. Other instances have come up where maybe we had only identified forward flags on a home, but they decided that they wanted to get all of the flags done so that everything was uniform and matched and looked like it was current. So we've had those kind of experiences, and we've allowed those people to participate in the program at the prices we have. I wouldn't really advocate doing any kind of wholesale advertising or solicitation to try to get more and more people to participate just based on the funding that's available.
Well,
in the
if they're
future,
willing to pay for it.
right, that's the same thing. If the city contractor, and we have talked about different variations of that as well. And that's kind of the lessons learned thing that I think that we might try to look at in the spring, depending on how this initial step goes, where maybe we can institute something like that where if we worked out if you could pay us in advance or sign some sort of an agreement to pay those costs within a certain period of time, that we could potentially expand the reach of the program and get more sidewalk squares done. But we are doing that to a limited extent, not right now, in terms of when people are identified with 1 or 2 squares and they want to do all, we're allowing that. When people in a neighborhood that work is being identified have come forward and said, how about this square, could I get that done? We're entertaining those as well. So on a limited basis, we're doing that.
Okay.
With that in mind, is it possible to let the public know who this contractor is and let them work out a deal with that contractor?
Yeah, that's definitely something that could potentially be done, but we're this contractor is not a massive operation, and we're giving them a lot of business in this current time period because we have these sidewalk squares that are being done, as well as catch basin repairs and street repairs that have become necessitated by repairs that were done by our utilities department. So the concern was we didn't want to overburden the company and create a situation where they couldn't keep up with the work. So that's another reason, just to see how it goes in the summer, fall season, then see if in the spring we can maybe do an expansion of it potentially.
Well, we could take some kind of like a waiting list or something, so that
Correct.
that contractor would know in the
Yeah.
spring that there'll be, 50 additional homes that want a square done.
Right.
And that they can route or manage their staff and
Right.
their equipment at that point.
Good point.
It's a good price. I think that, the
I think it's very
residents
competitive.
should
Yep.
know about that. So, and I thank you very much for looking into the advertising on the dial-a-ride vehicles. I think this gives the DDA some good opportunities for, Nashville in the neighborhood, the Friday concerts, things like that, with a captive audience. I think it would be a great thing. And my last inquiry is on item number 4, the multi-use or multi-unit rental properties. And you've got it, the family dwellings are considered legal, existing multifamily dwellings are considered legal non-conforming uses. How does the rental overlay fit in with that?
Well, I defer to Brian about what's taken place so far in the overlay district, if we've had much in the way of activity, but theoretically, if somebody wanted to request that, that's related to rental units in general, so it would apply to multi-unit as well, I would guess.
Well, if they're in existence, they're grandfathered.
Correct.
They're valid non-conforming use.
Well, the overlay is preventing additional.
Additional.
Right, exactly.
Yes, correct.
So I think that's how that would work.
Is that it?
That's it, thank you.
Commissioner Baker?
Do you have any specific metrics as far as how many squares have been tagged, how many have been replaced, and what type of goal you might have for this effort?
Yeah, Brian's got the numbers pretty handy, I think. We did the math based on the cost per square and how many we were going to do in this particular period, and we have a pretty good set of properties and squares that we look to get done.
Yeah, in this most current go-around, I think we flagged approximately 200 squares, covering about, I think, 48 different properties.
Okay. And then with the price, this may seem like a silly question, but does that include disposal, removal of the cement that was once there? Because if you don't go with our 165 price, I would imagine when you do it yourself, you have to find a way to dispose of that old cement. So
Correct.
I mean, so that if that can be,
That would be right on both counts. That's going to take care of the whole situation.
I mean, that makes it even more attractive when
Right.
people think that, oh, I got to get rid of this stuff as well.
Right.
It seems very, very reasonable. And in regards to the advertising on Dial-A-Ride, I know that, I believe it was in St. Clair Shores, I saw the smaller buses, and they had advertisement that drove people to, like, in this case, it was Macomb Community College. Visit the website, at whatever.edu kind of thing. So if you can't necessarily do Nashville in the neighborhood for whatever reasons, you could certainly drive them to the DDA website to see what's going on in Mount Clemens.
Right.
Anyone else? Okay. Approval of the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Bunton.
Yes.
Okay, general business, 9A, introduction and first reading of an amendment to the fireworks ordinance, 20.640. I need a motion.
Motion to approve the introduction and first reading of a proposed amendment to the fireworks ordinance 20.640 to add a definition for sky lanterns and ban the use of same within the city of Mount Clemens, and to set the second reading and adoption for September 21, 2015.
Support.
The use of sky lanterns is growing in popularity in urban areas, presenting a risk of fire and possibly jeopardizing public safety. The Macomb Area Communities for Regional Opportunities, or MACRO members, recently agreed unanimously that a countywide ban of sky lanterns is in the best interest of the safety and well-being of Macomb County residents and businesses. Macro has forwarded a joint letter of support to Mark Hackle indicating the same, and I provided that letter. In an update, we received a letter back from County Executive Hackle basically stating that his legal firepower, indicated that he really could not institute any countywide ban on sky lanterns, just like they can't pass parking enforcement countywide that's going to impact local decisions in local communities as a hypothetical. So he indicated support for the idea, but indicated that he could not do any kind of a countywide ban because of the legal research that they did on it. So that leaves it to local action, which works well with the fact that we presented this for action today. The city attorney checked into this and indicated there would be a potential matter for us to consider in the future regarding potential religious exemptions. I've done some looking at what other communities have proposed for those kind of exemptions, and it kind of begs the question, when does a sky lantern become a kite? Because basically it requires it to be tethered. And at that point, I'm not sure that it's really a sky lantern and it would fit the means of what the ceremony would be about. So we'd probably have to look at that and come up with something in the future that would make sense for our community if it was something we wanted to entertain. So.
Commissioner Raker?
For the viewing audience, could you give a layman's explanation of what a sky lantern is, just so that there's no
Right.
confusion?
They're basically unmanned airborne floating devices which have a candle inside of it that you light, and the heat that's generated is captured inside the structure, which causes the structure to rise into the air and float off many miles away from where it's launched, and therein lies the difficulty, right? If we don't allow it in Mount Clemens and a surrounding community does, we could still have sky lanterns come land on somebody's roof, land in somebody's tree or bush that's a little dry and create a fire situation. Basically, we've had several members of the fire department community at macro meetings talking about the fact that they think it's an accident waiting to happen. They've had lots of occurrences of these things coming to rest, if you will, on garages, on other people's properties. And there is a great deal of concern that it's going to become an issue. And this just is an attempt to be proactive and prevent it from becoming an issue in Mount Clemens to the extent that we can control our own destiny. Yeah.
If they can't enact a countywide ban, is it likely that the surrounding communities to us will pass the same ordinance?
Most of them have,
Most of them have.
or they're in the process of it.
Oh, okay.
Matter of
Didn't
fact,
Warren
Bob
pass it?
Cannon sent the letter to
Sterling
Hackle.
Heights.
He's the author of the letter to Hackle,
Oh.
Clinton Township, so.
Came out of the macro meeting.
Yeah, they were very enthusiastic about it. Everybody was very much on board with it, and they were looking at getting a sample resolution for people to consider and a sample idea of how to approach this, and that's where this is coming from. So I'm optimistic there'll be a lot of widespread action in the county on this subject.
Sterling Heights was one of the first, I think, to actually initiate it.
That was one of the religious exemption examples that I mentioned. So.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Raker,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes?
Campbell.
Yes.
9B, to adopt a resolution supporting a charitable gaming license for the Mount Clemens Barracuda Youth Football Program. Need a motion?
Move to adopt the local governing body resolution for charitable gaming license for the Barracuda Youth Football Program.
Second?
The Barracuda Youth Football Program is a Michigan nonprofit corporation operating in the city of Mount Clemens for the purpose of receiving and administering funds to operate a youth football and cheer program. The Mount Clemens Barracudas have been providing football and cheer opportunities in Mount Clemens since 1972. It's 100% run by volunteers, with 100% of the funding going to the operation of the youth program. In order to hold events to raise money for the program, the corporation is applying for a charitable gaming license from the state of Michigan. As part of the application process, state law requires the local government subdivision, that being the city of Mount Clemens, to recognize it by resolution as a nonprofit organization in the community.
Questions? Concerns? Commissioner Menzer?
You know, I'm not against this. I think it's a great thing, but I would like to see these applications filled out. Getting them blank, not knowing who's supporting it, not knowing anything about it other than what we read as the agenda item, kind of concerns me. And in the past, we have had completed applications in our packet. So I'm not attempting to, stop or delay this tonight. I would just like to see these applications completed.
Noted.
I'm not sure what the completion of the application has to do with our supporting the fact that they want to do this. However, I used to coach with the Barracudas many years ago, and the program is excellent, and it had gone down, and now it's rising again, and I think that without doubt they should be totally supported, whether there's a completed application or not. We're just giving them a resolution saying that we are okay with them doing this. So I mean, they've been an institution here since 72. I think that qualifies them to be supported.
If I can clarify something before we go any further. 2 points. So the resolution that we're adopting isn't approving the application. It's recognizing the organization as a nonprofit that's eligible for this kind of an application. And the city actually completes these applications once we get approval. So it wouldn't be something where the Barracuda organization would complete it. It would be us completing it on their behalf. But again, we're not approving the actual application or anything. It's basically just recognizing the organization as a nonprofit in Mount Clemens.
That's fine. Yeah, I have absolutely no question about supporting this. I would just like to see a completed application in our package, because we have done this in the past. I have 2 examples.
Yeah. Well, I guess
So-
what we're saying, though, is it's not necessary for the process, but if they turn them in, that's fine, too.
The blank form that was in our packet is for the city to fill out after we vote.
It doesn't matter to me who fills that out. I would like to see a completed application.
It's filled out after the vote, though, so we can give it to you after.
I don't know that's true, because I have this
That's
agenda
what he's
from
saying.
Monday, the 15th of September, 2014, to adopt a resolution supporting a charitable gaming license for the Believe Foundation, and this is prior to the vote, and here it's filled out. I have another one right here from Monday, August 18, 2014, for the Macomb County Tennis Coaches Association, and this one is also completed in our packet. So I just would like to see a
They're not
completed
Mount Clemens.
application.
They're not Mount Clemens.
It's Macomb County Tennis
Right,
Coaches
but
Association,
it's not
but I
Mount
would still
Clemens.
like to
Does
see
that make a difference?
I
counted.
think it does,
No,
because it has to be filled
we
out.
approved that.
Yeah, we
We
approved it.
approved that.
We approve it,
Yeah.
but I think they filled it out from the other.
No, normally what occurs is that they submit a copy of their articles of incorporation, their nonprofit articles, their 501c approval from the IRS, and the package I normally get to review, it contains those items plus an explanation as to what they do. The application, are you looking at the resolution that's attached in blank?
Well,
your package?
there's that, and that was completed in these packages. But in the past, we have had the copies of the application or what they have submitted, and I would
The
just like to see
articles and
those.
So
the
that's what you
501c,
want.
Yeah, I would like to
Because
see those.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. So you want the actual application. Okay. So that's a little different.
And in the past, I think those have been supplied. I don't think
Yeah.
it's unusual,
It-
a copy of the
it's not.
articles and things. Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Raker,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes. 9C, request approval for the 2015 Columbus Day Parade. Need a motion?
I move to approve the Columbus Day Parade on Saturday, October 10th, 2015, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., including the closure of North Main Street and South Main Street from Robertson to Market.
Support.
Normally, this is handled as a consent agenda item, and we moved it this time around just because of the impact of the Market Street project. So I'm really not going to go into any big detail as to what was covered in the agenda item. I just wanted to point out that the Market Street project is pretty closely abutting this parade. So that's why we wanted to take the opportunity to point that out for people and to be aware of that when they're going to attend the parade, that there would be some impact in the area because of the Market Street project.
But Main Street is open, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Menzer,
Yes.
Raker,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Approval of purchase and payments of invoices, please.
Move to approve the purchase of invoices as presented?
Support.
Do we have any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Raker,
Yes.
Bunton,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Menzer.
Yes.
Consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support?
Roll call, please.
Bunton,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes,
Menzer,
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
City manager's report.
Got a couple of items that I was going to discuss briefly this evening. Career opportunities with the city. We've talked previously about the fact that we had posted several job opportunities. The finance director / treasurer position, which was closing 8/21, the human resources director position closing 8/28, and the economic development specialist planner position closing 8/28/2015. These positions were extensively advertised in a wide variety of resources. The number of submissions has ranged from 9 to 21. Administration will now establish committees of staff members to review the applicants, determine interview plans, and act accordingly to fill the positions and bring them forward for the commission approval as is warranted by our practices. Number 2, BSNA software update. Administration is preparing to launch into an upgrade of our BSNA software package from the prior release, known as Pervasive, to the latest version, which is .NET. This software is utilized in a variety of functions within the city government. The old release we were utilizing was no longer being supported by the company, as we had delayed the upgrade for years due to financial constraints. Continued operation of an unsupported software package would have exposed our operations to considerable risks. This upgrade will facilitate operational efficiencies and new capabilities and improve our ability to provide important city services, and to do so with active operational support from the company. This is one of the many accomplishments that's made possible by the charter amendment that was passed in August of 2014, as it was discussed during the fiscal year 2016 budget process. This is a critical upgrade of a key software package that has been delayed for years because of the lack of available funds. The original anticipation was that the full implementation of the upgrade would take about 45 to 60 days. That's still going to be largely accurate, but it's potentially going to leak into early December, as opposed to being wrapped up by the end of November as we originally anticipated. And that's really just related to the workflow at the company that's going to be doing the work to implement the software upgrade and also provide training. So that's all I have for this evening.
Questions, comments? Okay, commissioner comments. Commissioner Button.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to hope everybody had a great Labor Day holiday. But I guess there are several holidays in the month of September that perhaps are lesser known. So you can enjoy September 11th, that is Patriot Day. September 13th is Grandparents' Day. You grandparents can celebrate the fact that you do a lot of support for your grandchildren, as I do. Anyway, then we have Rosh Hashanah, which starts at sunset on September 13th. And then on September 17th, we have Citizenship Day. And for those who are not celebrating any of those days, I encourage you to celebrate the fact that you were given one more day of life, so enjoy it. And for Commissioner Wisdom for tonight, be as smart as you can, but remember that it's always better to be wise than smart. That's by Alan Alda. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
Well, I'd like to wish the Mount Clemens schools an academically productive year and welcome some new staff. The interim superintendent, William Pearson, the new principal at the high school, Joseph Gibson, the new principal at Seminole Elementary, Elizabeth Manning, and I want to say congrats to the new principal, Tim Kelly, of the newly reopened King Academy, which features the STEAM philosophy, which is a concentration on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And people should be happy to hear, I read a statistic that there are 70 new students in the Mount Clemens school systems this year. A challenging and an academically sound educational program in our schools will help attract new residents, so I wish our school system all the best for the 2015-2016 school year. I want to say thanks. The resident's not here, but I do want to say thanks to the resident who purchased the home at 80 Maras. The fire department's pancake breakfast is from 7:30 to 11 this Saturday, in conjunction with the Soapbox Derby run by the Mount Clemens Optimist Club. It's also a tater and pork roast day at the farmers market this weekend. And I would like to give you a reminder that the 6th annual Mount Clemens High School All Alumni Reunion is this week Friday from 5 to closing at the Rec Bowl. No cover charge, cash, food, and drinks. And as Commissioner Button mentioned, it is Patriots Day this Friday, September 11th. And I just wanted to remind people of a couple things. Between the United Flight 93 crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the World Trade Center, and the Pentagon, 2,996 people lost their lives. 55 military members died at the Pentagon. 71 law enforcement officers and 343 firefighters died in the World Trade Center. 206 of those were American citizens. Since 2013, 1,140 people who lived, worked, or went to school in Lower Manhattan have been diagnosed with cancer as a result of exposure to toxins of ground zero. So please take a minute on Friday and think about your first responders and these people who sacrificed their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Raker?
I have one comment, and that is in regards to, at our last meeting, we had an executive session where we discussed how we're going to appoint filling former City Commissioner Blash's seat. I'm disappointed that we don't have an update from the administration of the city attorney at this time. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
I'd just like to start by pointing out that in our consent agenda, we approved several people to be on different committees sponsored by the city, and there are 3 people that have never served on a committee before, so I think that's good to get them involved. And there are 2 other people that had previously served on committees, but they're now being appointed to different committees than they had served on before. So it's always good to get some new people in. And I heard that the Mount Clemens Community Schools have 130 new additional students this year. So that came from an administrator at the school, so I'm assuming that that's true, and that's good news. Even though it still feels like summer out, we have celebrated Labor Day, school has started, and many of the fall activities have begun. I want to remind everyone to watch for children walking to school or boarding or leaving school buses. We want everyone to have a safe year. I recently became aware of 2 outstanding recent graduates of Mount Clemens High School who each received letters of congratulations from the president's wife, Michelle Obama. Those 2 students are Dante Sumter and Matthew King, both of whom have quite a list of accomplishments during their high school years. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about them because I think their accomplishments are very impressive. Dante Sumter was elected Homecoming Queen in 2015. He is the president of the National Arts Honor Society, a member of the National Honor Society, and he was very active on the yearbook staff, of which he was the official photographer. He is also the photographer for the Rivals, a professional football team, and volunteers for the Gleaners food program. He far exceeded the school requirement for community service hours. He is attending Central Michigan University this fall studying physical therapy. He received Central's Multicultural Scholarship and Leadership Award and will be residing in the Multicultural Scholarship and Leadership Dormitory. Central also recognized him with their Gold Scholarship for GPA and leadership. Matthew King came to Mount Clemens High School with the desire and determination to leave a mark, and that is exactly what he did, according to the high school principal. He ranked in the top 10 in academics, and he excels in athletics. But it is his gift of leadership that is most remarkable. He has been elected president or vice president of many clubs and organizations, as well as being captain of most of the teams for which he played. He was also chosen by his classmates to be on the homecoming court and to be class president. He will also attend Central Michigan University to study in the area of parks and recreation. According to the deputy superintendent, he has accumulated more hours of community service than any student she has ever known by volunteering in after-school activities and for the Boys and Girls Club. Both of these outstanding young men also received Mount Clemens Commitment Scholarships presented by the Educational Foundation. Congratulations to both Dante Sumter and Matthew King for all of your accomplishments and for receiving recognition from Mrs. Obama. It is wonderful to know that Mount Clemens High School is still graduating high-quality students. I am sure we all wish you the best in your future endeavors. I also want to thank Ms. Gloria Haller for letting me know about these exceptional individuals and for her efforts in contacting Mrs. Obama on their behalf. Whenever a person receives a great honor, someone had to make an effort on his or her behalf, and Ms. Haller did excellent work. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening and a great week.
You might want to say Dante was the king. You mentioned he was queen.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just want to
I don't
clarify
know how
that.
that came out.
Dante may become
King,
very
king.
offended.
Yes. Thank you. I don't know how that came out.
That's okay. Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, I would just, I just have one comment. It was brought to my attention that as the chair or coordinator for the neighborhoods for our plan that we're working on here at the city, it has been suggested that if we could concentrate with regards to code enforcement, et cetera, on the properties that are on the main thoroughfares that come in to the city. It was pointed out that there is a building on 58 northbound Gratiot that's been boarded up for years and years and years, and it looks like a pig pen. Could that please be addressed? And there was two other ones on North Avenue. One is a burned out house that's been burned out for well over a year. Could we start concentrating at least on those areas of the city that are highly visible? So I would like to suggest that we start working on that as a way to show the citizens that the plan that we're working on is going to be taken and put into effect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have the addresses here too that I'll give to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody the Terra Grant Run Walk, which has been held the last few years in Mount Clemens, has moved to Freedom Hill, and it is Saturday, October 3rd, 2015. So if anybody is interested in participating, they can contact Turning Point. It's $20 for individual participation and $15 per person for a group. And it starts at 10 o'clock on October 3rd. You can even just show up out at Freedom Hill to support the Terra Grant Walk. Also, of course, on my long list now is the parade, which you'll be tired of hearing from me about this. We have moved the date to November 21st, which is a Saturday before Thanksgiving. Please try to get the word out. We're going to need to have all the help we can to make sure everybody realizes it's not the day after Thanksgiving. It is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So if anybody would like to volunteer, participate, please contact me. You can reach me here at City Hall. And if you have any questions also, please contact me. And I'm sure it'll be on cable. I'm not running it? Okay. So we're looking forward to that. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Oh, one more time, the drug take-back. I noticed you didn't mention the date of the drug take-back. Do you remember what it is?
The 29th,
29th of September.
yes.
We're going to have drug
It's a
take-back. It's a Saturday, and it will be at Wilson Gym. So please, you can bring any of your prescription drugs to the Wilson Gym, and we will take them in. Sheriff's Department will be there. They collect it. So that is again on Saturday, September 28th.
From 10 in the morning till 2 in the
Okay.
afternoon.
To 2 in the
And
afternoon.
we have another meeting, I hope, before that comes off, so I want to make sure that we get that out. But we will have posters and information out into the neighborhood and flyers into the neighborhood. But it's really a very worthwhile program to be able to get those drugs. And we want to do it before homecoming and a lot of the big sport events that's going to happen in the fall. Because if we get those out of the hands of the people in the
temptation.
community. Yeah,
Temptation.
temptation is what I'm trying to get to. So we get that temptation out of the way and get it all of it turned in. We cannot take liquids and we cannot take needles, but anything else in that drug-related area, prescriptions, etc., please bring them in.
So if you have drugs that are expired, and they're sitting in your house, you don't know what to do with it, don't flush it down the toilet, please. Please bring it to us. We'll take care of it. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
just thought. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Hill.
yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Raker.
Yes.
Bunton.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.